What is going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. I feel like we haven't done this in like a long time now, BD.
Dude, I was just thinking that I think we had a couple shows, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
been
only
a minute.
been a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've it feels like forever because we've had so much happen with football, right? With the Continental Football League, and then the end of the season, and then a little bit of conflict and drama with that we'll talk about a little bit later. But then we're winding down with a couple of the arena leagues, and the preseason camps are kicking off, and there's just so much going on, and we've just kind of missed quite a bit of it. But anyways, obviously I'm SAJ. I'm coming to you live today from the Gadzooks Skate Shop in North Star Mall. I don't think I've used that one before.
That's a good. I don't think you have, and I am surprised. Like,
yeah,
that's a really good one, dude. I am proud of you for that one. That is fantastic.
That one holds a special memory for me because that's where I got my first real skateboard. It was a Christian Hosoi mini street model with the OJ2 trucks, and I can't remember what wheels I had. But yeah, that was my first real skateboard, and I loved it.
That I completely forgot about that place, man. That's memory lane, dude. I used to go there all the time.
Yes.
But what is up? I am BD. You know what? Mine's not that impressive today. So after Gadzooks, I'm gonna come at you from the Senor Mango Studios, which it was just a little fruiteria that was off of West Avenue that I really like going to, and just really I found out recently they closed. I was kind of bummed because I actually wanted to go there and looked them up. I was like, well, damn, they're permanently closed. That sucks. Kind of ruined my day. So
I feel like I know that place. I'm sure I've seen it.
Probably, yeah. It's right. It was right there, West Avenue, 410. There was like the drive-through beer store right there, or whatever. So yeah,
you gotta love drive-through beer store, right?
That's right.
But okay, so definitely want to give a shout out to a couple of our friends. Hopefully, one day we'll make these folks our sponsors. But first and foremost, Velada vodka that's made right here in good old San Antonio. Some of the best vodka that we've actually had. We were set up across from them at the tailgating, and it was kind of a contest. They had some pretty darn good mixed drinks, man, especially that watermelon. Some good stuff. So if you're out at the local liquor store, Specs or whoever, make sure you check out the Velada line of vodkas and mixes and stuff. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you'll be supporting a local business. And then, of course, Bangers Fireworks. So you can't really go visit them right now, but you can get ready for New Year's.
Yeah, you can wait. You can wait in about 6 months or 5 months, I guess. Go visit them again. Just jot the locations down.
Yes, and then of course our friends at Alamo Pits and Grills. I forgot to do a graphic for them, and then of course Big Red, because Big Red's awesome. It's made right here in Texas, and who wouldn't love that? Now, the guest that we have tonight, phenomenal player, tons of football experience. I really can't wait to get into it. But this is an extremely explosive defensive end. He's got a ton of experience, in several different areas, very high energy player. And especially now after having some of the coaching that he's had, this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And we want to make sure that, we give him as much love as we possibly can. But without further ado, let's bring in Myles McHaney, the fourth. Myles, let's see if I can get your camera added back on. There you are.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
What's up, Myles? How are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well. It was a nice day in Michigan today, so.
Oh yeah. Oh. Is that where you're from?
Oh. I'm in Michigan right now, man. It was about 100 degrees out here. It's feeling like Texas, so I can't complain. Okay. Up north, Green Bay.
Yep.
So speaking of, actually, my wife is actually up in, Jason, you'll appreciate this. She's up in Wisconsin right now for just like a work conference that's going on. So she is she's a little pissed off that we're actually colder down here than they are. So
Yeah, it's a hot one. It's a hot one today.
Well, and it doesn't help, right? Whether it's Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, even Illinois, right? It really is kind of, the land of 10,000 lakes, and all that water mixed with the heat, crazy humidity. And then you got mosquitoes as big as birds. And I mean, it's just wild up there, man. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else during the normal summers when it's like 75 on the 4th of July and you've got that lake right there. So you can't complain about that. So, okay, we have a lot to talk about. And first and foremost, tell us who you are. Let's talk a little bit about your college background and just kind of the different schools that you played for.
Yeah, so I started my career at Youngstown State University. Coach Bo Pelini recruited me right out the gate. You can do some research on Bo. Been all around the country, and then when COVID hit, I ended up putting my name in the transfer portal. Coach Patrick Hill called me from the Minnesota Vikings. He's currently the outside linebackers coach for the Vikings. So I ended up going D2 for 1 year. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. At this point in my career, I had 2 years left. I put my name back in the transfer portal. So Bubba McDowell ended up calling me, Prairie View A&M University. If you guys know Bubba McDowell, he played for the Houston Oilers.
Okay.
That ties into San Antonio. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So I played 2 seasons at Prairie View underneath Bubba McDowell. And then, once I graduated my master's degree in juvenile justice, I was talking to the coach like, hey, I still want to play football. I'm young. I'm still going. I got plenty of juice left. Is there any opportunities? Is there anywhere I can go? At this time in my career, the only avenue that I had was the international football scene. So I ended up taking my talents to Brazil. I lived in Brazil for about 5 months.
oh wow.
And it's one of the best times of my life. Coach Johnny Mitchell was my coach in Brazil. Johnny Mitchell was a first-round draft pick in 1992 to New York Jets, tight end from Nebraska. So I spent 5 months with Johnny Mitchell, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, practice. So we basically lived together. And it was great to be in that position just to suck up the knowledge in the game from a player that has lived and breathed and been where I want to be. So upon returning to the USA, I got a call from the Memphis Showboats. So the Memphis Showboats ended up bringing me into camp. I got an opportunity to compete at a high level. And then once that time passed, 2026 hit. San Antonio Toros was created. Jerry Glanville was the defensive coordinator. Stan Bell was the head coach. I ended up receiving a call from them. At this time, I was actually committed with the Albany Firebirds. So okay. I want to play 11-on-11. I want to be outside. The main goal is Canadian NFL. So this new league is the closest thing to that, considering we had the fourth quarter with the continental shift. So we get 3 downs. We got Canadian rules. And I started playing with this team this past summer, the San Antonio Toros. So it's been every step of my journey, I've been noticing that it's coaches that are just continuously growing. It's just going up, going up, going up. So Jerry Glanville, it's probably the best team I've ever been on. We got guys that have been with the Patriots, with the Seahawks, with the Falcons. And I'm getting a chance to compete side by side by these other athletes that have been in the spot that I want to be in. So it's like I'm going in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm getting better. I know it's, it's every team I've been on is better. So I'm just being patient. I'm trusting the process. And I was really thankful to be a part of the Toros this past season.
So kind of what real quick, while you were, kind of going through your history, what I gathered is you're surrounding yourself with a ton of football knowledge just from coaching staffs.
Yeah. Definitely. Every place I've been at.
So let me ask you this. How has that affected your gameplay, right? You're each step of the way, you're getting surrounded by, better and better, more legendary coaches. you know, I don't want to say you reached the pinnacle with Jerry Glanville, but that's pretty damn high peak right there. So how's that affecting you, your gameplay, the way you're reading the game, just in general? Where are you at right now compared to kind of like, you know, where you at with the showboats or before that?
Now I feel like I'm a completely different player. My knowledge of the game and just my approach, my mentality to preparing in meetings and film and asking questions fluently to the coach and just having conversations. You know, I would sit with Jerry at breakfast time and, you know, we're talking about the game plan. And, you know, even breakfast before practice, you know, the same day. And, you know, I'm just every opportunity I had to interact with the staff or the coaches, you know, I'm asking questions, I'm picking their brain and applying their knowledge to my game. And being on the Toros, this is the fastest I've ever been able to play. You know, Jerry made it really simple for me. You know, match, rat, trigger. You know, it's very, hey, the back of my side, my match. You back away, you know, rat, trigger. So it's like I'm able to play fast, and Jerry let me do that. So if you guys don't know who Jerry Glanville is, you know, everybody who's watching, I definitely suggest you do your research, do your reading. And, you know, this is a legendary coach. So I'm just happy to be able to be coached by one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of coaches in the game that if I were in your position, I would want to be coached by. One of them, of course, would be Wade. You know, he's kind of like everybody's grandfather, and he really does, you know, he puts his money where his mouth is. He goes out of his way to help players. Doesn't matter what team you're on. If he sees something that he likes about you and he thinks that you've got the talent to make it to the next level, he's going to advocate for you, right? Well, Jerry Glanville, exact same thing, right? He's you know, probably much more soft-spoken in his, you know, in his point in his career now than he was. But man, that guy used to be a rabble-rouser. He used to create all kinds of havoc. And he would 100% advocate for all the players that he thought, you know, deserved a chance, stuff like that. I mean, there's a reason why he was a head coach for such a long time. So I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
So, so we walked kind of through your time with college and you know, going into the UFL and then now here in the Continental Football League. Do you remember saying a quote about where you would see or where you see yourself in 5 years?
I think I do. I think I was asked that.
Yes, it happened to be with Prairie View A&M. It's your answer was you saw yourself as a professional football player in 5 years. How is that vision coming along for you? Because I mean, let's be realistic. You're already a professional football player. You've gotten paid for your craft, right? Yeah. So how are you coming along with that? Are you tracking along with your plan? Are you ahead of schedule? Where are we at?
I feel like, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm right on track, but sometimes, you know, I don't question the process, but I know I'm right on time. So it's like you're waiting on God's timing, and you know things are gonna move and open up when they're supposed to. I feel like every step of my professional level has taught me something different to help me become the player and the athlete that I am now. So each place that I've been I've been able to pull parts of the coach, the knowledge and their expertise and apply it to myself. So being with the staff, with the Toros, you know, I was just able to, you know, become a better player surrounded. We have Super Bowl winners on our team. You know, Obi is one of them, you know, with the New England Patriots. So being able to play side by side with guys like Obi and be able to be on the field at the same time, that's special. You know, not every day you're playing with the Super Bowl winner. So it's safe to say I'm definitely, you know, playing professional football. It's safe to say I'm doing exactly that.
That's cool. So, you know, I don't think we've ever gotten to talk to a player like right at the end of the season. And so I'm kind of curious, like what's something that this season taught you just about football, just something you're going to take from this season specific kind of as you go into like whatever's next for your career?
I would definitely take away like just how you interact with your teammates and the coaches and the people in the hotels or the shuttle buses, the sponsors on the sideline, or the people that are, as you're walking to the stadium, the people that are already there waiting for the teams to arrive. You got to treat those people with kindness, respect, be outgoing. Even though if you're in game mode and game mentality, you got your headphones on. It's still nice to take time to speak to these people. Say thank you, for being here. Introduce yourself. How you doing. Thank you for what you do. Just be mindful that everybody plays a part. When we were staying at the hotel, the people that wake up every day and make breakfast for us, or they come in there and change our towels, change our sheets, be respectful to them. Just everything, man. The way that Jerry approaches the meetings, you don't have to be all rah-rah to get your point across. And I was able to soak that up, that mentality. Coach Coleman, he played in the NFL, and he's kind of quiet in meetings, he's in the back, but you're able to go ask him a question, he can answer for you. And just show that you care, show that you want to get better, ask questions, stay after the meetings, show up early, do the little things to show the coaches and the staff that you want to play, you want to be there. So
excellent. Okay, so let's go back to this season. You guys went 5-0, and you were a large part of that. I think one of the first plays, in fact, I was going back and looking at some highlights and things like that. I believe one of the first plays, that I can remember, was a blocked punt, thanks to you, right? Yeah. How do you guys, or how do you think, especially well, first of all, I guess it's a two-part question. How did it feel going through that experience with such a short, preseason training camp, whatever, to then go 5-0, and more specifically, you guys did go 5-0. How did the coaching staff keep you guys kind of focused on what you needed to do out there when some of the other craziness in the COFL was going on, such as like Michigan showing up and then disappearing, Indianapolis kind of folding? So those are my two questions, right? Like, how did you feel with the short training camp, and how it fed into the 5-0 season? And then what did the coaches do during that 5-0 season to keep you guys focused so you could go 5-0 and not worry about the stuff that was going on outside?
Yeah. In terms of the short training camp, I think that the coaches did a phenomenal job of recruiting players and athletes that take it upon themselves to be in shape. Like they take pride in working out and training. So when, even though we had a short training camp, they brought guys in who already were ready. These are people that they've been eating well, they've been working out, they've been asking to play, and they're given opportunity. So it's not like they brought in guys that were just randomly selected. These are people that knew what they wanted to play, and they want to be here. So it's like it made it so easy just for all of us to flow and gel together. And then in terms of how do we keep focused with the other teams in the league falling out, I think at the end of the day we all knew who we were as a team and individuals, and who our coaches were, and their legacies that they hold themselves, and each individual player, the legacy that we're in the process of building. We all know we're a part of something special on this team. This is the team we are what matters. So at the end of the day, even going down to practice, what you put on practice tape matters. That's who you are. So we took pride in that. Players took pride in, competing at a high level, doing your assignment, doing your job. And every day we showed up with a mentality, hey, we're going to get better. And regardless who we play, we're going to give you all we got, and, we're going to come out victorious, because this is who we are. So it was real easy. They did a great job recruiting. It was easy for us to keep it going.
I mean, yeah, obviously they're amazing job recruiting. You can just see the product on the field compared to, unfortunately compared to the rest of the league. I mean, it was night and day. how much better you guys were and how better coach you were. I apologize if you hear my co-host over here just meowing and going crazy. He wants some
good.
attention. So
So let's switch gears a little bit, right? Because we're talking football, we're talking the X's and O's and stuff like that. But our biggest focus of the show is for people to get to know you, not just as a player, but as a person, right? We find that it builds a much stronger bond when you know more things about people than just, hey, he's a defensive end, he can run the 4.3 and 4.6 or whatever, or the 40 and 4.6 rather, different stuff like that. Like, that's for the sports show guys. Like, we want to know the good stuff. So what was your favorite experience here in San Antonio? Like, did you have a favorite restaurant you went to? Did you find some, little hole in the wall that had some of the best breakfast tacos you've ever had? Like, what was your favorite experience here?
My favorite experience was I would just have to say, just like the togetherness and the camaraderie and the brotherhood amongst the team. Like, when you, before the season, after season, when you're not on the team, it's like, you go back to being at home on your own and you go back with the team, just being around a group of, elite athletes who push themselves in all aspects to be better. Training at home by yourself is different than when you're training with a group of people with the same goal. So for me, that's something that I needed, I missed. And what I'm saying? That's the type of energy and environment that I thrive in, other people that, iron sharpens iron type of thing. And that's exactly what we had, I got the opportunity to go against an NFL tackle every day. Lacobe was with the Atlanta Falcons. So I got to go against him every single day in practice. And, I got some practice film against an NFL tackle now. I didn't really have that before, not as much, now I have, a month worth of film going against an NFL guy. So just little things like that, I would say that's what made the difference, just being around the environment, the energy, the mentality, the football lingo, just being around guys and doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
So
and we know off the field, Lacobe is probably one of the biggest teddy bears you could ever meet. But when he's on the field, that switch turns on and he turns into a completely different animal. As we even saw when, he kind of, pushed it a little bit and almost, got himself in serious trouble. I know he had gotten called in one of the games for unnecessary roughness or something like that. And it was almost leading to a fight, which would have led to an ejection, which would have been huge. But then you talk to him about it off the field, and he's like, "Yeah, guy kind of got the best of me, and I'm sorry. I'll do better." Yeah. But he's just such a big, gentle giant, man. Which is why I'm glad that you're facing off against him, not me, because that would hurt. I don't want that in my life. Now, did you get a chance to go explore? I know you guys went out to like Fiesta, Texas. I'm assuming you went with the group that went out there.
Yeah.
Did you get to explore any other parts of San Antonio or anything like that?
Yeah, we went to like a little downtown area. Like I think it was like a little street of some restaurants and some, little bars, a little nice area with taco trucks. We got a chance to walk around a little bit, see some city life.
Like the Pearl area or like the Riverwalk area kind of?
The Riverwalk area, and then wherever like the Lucky Duck is, there's little, some restaurants through
That's
there.
the Pearl.
That's the Pearl. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a chance to walk through there, so that was cool. Definitely like a mixed crowd, so everybody fits in a melting pot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely enjoyable. It was cool.
So I don't know if you know this. One of San Antonio's, kind of primary revenue streams is tourism, right? Because of the Riverwalk, and we get like Final Four at the Alamo Dome and different things like that. That's why there's strategically those little things like the Riverwalk and the Pearl, things like that in those areas is to get more money out of the tourists, right? I mean, let's be honest. But even outside of that, there's some really cool places here. I'm hoping that you get the opportunity to move on to the next level. But if you do come back next season, we got to show you some more stuff here in San Antonio because there's so many little hidden gems here. Now, this next question, I want you to be 100% honest, and I'm going to put you on the spot on this, right?
Gotcha.
Why is San Antonio so much better than Austin, Texas?
Hey, man, let's start off with the food, the tacos.
There you go.
Let's go.
Hey, non-negotiable.
Number one.
The quality of the food. Hey, San Antonio all the way.
Yep. See, and that's what we try and tell everybody is that, Austin has these really fancy sandwiches that they put in tortillas. That's not a taco. Okay. They just don't know. But next time you come down here, we're going to have to take you to, and BD is unfortunately knows way more about these than I do. But there's a place over by Fort Sam Houston, and it has tacos literally like this big, man.
Wow. Oh, bigger than that. Well, I don't know. You know what? Now I haven't been there in a while with shrinkflation and tariffs and all that stuff. They may have shrunk down to a little bigger, but I don't know. They used to be like this damn big. So
seriously, and that's one taco for like $3. Now they're probably like 700. It's economy, man. But the other thing about San Antonio is that, and I'm sure you probably saw it, especially when we did, like the Salute to Heroes game. San Antonio is Military City, USA. At one point, we had 4 active military bases here, plus some of the smaller ancillary bases. 5. I'm sorry, 5. 5. Right. Now we're down to 3. But we have the Military Medical Center, San Antonio. Well, it's San Antonio Military Medical Center, SAMC. But not only is it where they're training all the doctors and the nurses and all the medical field people, they also have the #1 trauma center in the nation, right? And so, God forbid anything happens, but if something happens, chances are you're going to SAMC and you're going to be treated by some of the best in the industry. Right. And so people come here for stuff like that. They come here for military graduations and, when kids are thinking about joining the military, they come here and check out, the different medical fields and stuff like that. And so there's so much going on here that people just don't even necessarily know about. Besides the fact that we have some of the best tacos in the world, there's all these other little hidden gems that make San Antonio just an absolute godsend, right? Yeah. It's just one of the coolest places that you could possibly be. And even though it's the 7th largest city in the United States, it is the biggest small town you will ever be in. Because literally, and BD and I are notorious for just talking to everybody and making friends just about everywhere we go. But I can't really think of too many places in this town that I can go to where I'm not going to run into somebody that I know, right? And that's just kind of common. That's just the way, unless you hide in your closet and listen to I don't know, some kind of weird Austin music or something like that, you're going to know somebody here, right? And yes, we take a lot of shots at Austin. You've got to understand that there's always been like this brotherly rivalry between San Antonio and Austin, and this goes back to heck before BD and I were even born.
Oh yeah,
we've always beat up on each other like brothers do. But if somebody comes up against them, boy, you better watch out because we're going to be right there in their corner, But okay, so let's go back to football. Okay, first game was against the Syndicate. You obviously had a great game. You blocked a punt, did some really cool things. At that point, when you guys were playing that game, did you know how dominant this team was going to be? Or did you just think, man, this is a pretty good team?
I knew, just from the look of the roster, that we were going to be, very dominant and, a problem to anybody that we faced. But, the first game, that was just like, wow, this this is what we're capable of. So, we kind of set the bar very high from the beginning. And every game we just kept aiming for that same, hey, we set the bar here. Let's either get here or higher. Every week, that was something that Glanville preached to us, every week, got a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And that's what we did. And the season was short. It was 5 games. But as a summer league, I feel like, if you can't make some big plays and, get some tackles and, sacks and, QB hurries in 5 games, then you shouldn't be playing professional football. But, 5 games, that's an opportunity to make a lot of plays. And, you got to capitalize on the opportunities that you're given. Even we were cut short a few games. I made the most of the games that we had. So I'm able to sleep at night comfortably. So I sleep good knowing that, I put a lot of good stuff on tape and, I made, the season worth it.
Excellent.
So with all the new tape that you have and all that you talked about, what's next for you? What are you looking for? Where are you looking to go to, kind of your next step?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to get back on the field ASAP. So really the only, Canada right now is somewhere I could see myself at, 3 downs, I kind of fit their schemes, outside linebacker edge, 6'3", 230. And basically for Canada, there's only a certain number of Americans allowed per team. So right. I basically have to be better than the American that they have there right now. So that's kind of where I'm looking at, like, can I get in where I can fit in that? And then, obviously the NFL is, the number one goal. But, like I said, this thing has been going in steps. Each year has been a little more. So, I'm not down the process. So, I'm praying I get a call soon. Canada would be lovely. NFL camp. UFL in Washington, D.C. next month, possibly, the tryout.
Okay.
I've been hearing, I need to go and make an appearance. So I need to get my flight together, my registration. I think I'm going to do that, go run my 40 again, do my shuttle, show my face, and then say, hey, I got this film. Can you watch this as well? And, I think, yes. With all of that together, I hopefully can get signed somewhere.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we're totally rooting for you. I mean, like Jay said earlier, man, it'd be great to see you in San Antonio next year. But honestly, we hope we don't, because you're on to something bigger,
Right.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick, because you kind of brought it up. With the the Canadian football and the continental shift and all that. What were your thoughts on that? Did you like that experience? Did you not like that experience? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, to be honest, so the continental shift, we're really the only league that did that. We, now as Americans, we can kind of, the staff and the coaches are able to market the players to the Canadian world and say, hey, our guys have done, the yard off the ball. They have, experienced the receivers motioning to the sideline as the ball is about to be snapped. So we kind of have already seen the Canadian game here in this league. So, transitioning to Canada wouldn't really be a problem, because I've done this before. So I could see myself making plays in Canada as well. It'll be nothing new.
So
Excellent.
So how much kind of a mental shift is it for you guys to do that in between the third and fourth quarter? Say, okay, hey, we're playing with a kind of a whole different rule set now. Just we gotta watch for 2 guys that are in motion. We got to do all this other stuff. Oh, it's second down. We got to treat it as third. Like, how hard is that for you guys to adapt just in the middle of a game? I mean, it's one thing. Hey, it's a brand new set of rules coming into the season. You guys are going game, quarter to quarter to these new rules. Just, I imagine kind of the first couple times it was like, oh, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. I feel like at first it was like, hey, you're a yard off the ball. Make sure, you're a yard off the ball. Don't, go over the line, cross the line of scrimmage, just little things like that. And when the fourth quarter hit and the continental shift started, it was just like, okay, first and second down, we got to get after it. There's probably going to be pass. They got 3 chances to get, 10 yards, and you got to play it to hair and fire. You got to go. Ball snap. You got to get to the quarterback. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot fourth quarter, and this is the chance to work your pass rush. So it's kind of just you switched it a little bit. It's time to go. As far as the DBs and linebackers, they're still in coverage, but D line and the edge guy, I play edge, so I still got to go. I got to rush. So it was kind of just like, okay, let's turn up another level.
Nice. Okay. So let me ask you this. We're getting more back into the technical stuff. This season, was there an offensive tackle that you really had to game plan for or really had to kind of prepare for? Or was it more, this is my plan of attack, I'm going to keep doing it until this guy breaks?
Yeah, I mean, every game, the way that we would prepare as a group, position group, like, we would come to the meeting and every player would have tendencies that they picked up on, for the tackle, the guards, or the running back. For me, my assignment was to, scout the tackle and find some things that, that I can read, if their foot moves first, or their knee, or the tip of the pad, or the tip of the helmet. Are they leaning? Are they sitting back on their heels? So just a couple of things that, I would see on camera, on tape from the other team. If you're a big lean guy, I like to bull pull, so I would just, watch a couple games and keep that in mind as I'm, approaching the game. But, watching film is kind of going to tell you, who you're going against. And then, when it's game time, it's time to execute. So I didn't really treat anybody super special or anything. I kind of just, if you can stop me, you can stop me, but, you got to show me that. So if they, cut me off, okay, I'm gonna go inside. You bought me off inside, okay, I'm gonna go outside. So sometimes they start double teaming me. So that's kind of like, okay, somebody else is gonna be free. You're gonna double team me, okay, my teammate's gonna get the sack then. So it's kind of hard. We caused havoc throughout the league, and we had a great D line. Linebackers were blitzing, and everybody was on one accord. So it felt good to be on the same page with real ball players.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: your in game stuff like that. Are you a trash talker?
Not usually, but if my team gets me going, if guys get me going, I might jump in. So I don't like to waste my breath, but I like to do the talk in between the whistles. So that's the big thing.
I asked that question a bunch, and usually the answer I get is, I don't start it, but if somebody else wants to start it, I'll contribute. That seems to kind of be the answer, which I think is a lie for a lot of times, because I watch a lot of these players and there's a lot of trash talking going on, and not everybody's waiting for the other people to start it. So I'm on to everybody over here.
Yeah, no, it can be like a tool. Like some people you can get in their head and kind of get them thinking about what you said instead of them thinking about their assignment. So it is kind of like a psychological approach. Like you guys do on the sideline, talking to other teams.
Exactly right.
So, there is times where, words are exchanged, O-line, D-line, and we're talking, after the whistle, and, I'm going to get you next snap, whatever it is. It's good to have that competitive spirit, it makes it fun. It keeps you alive. So it's like, it's good. I like to be in a hostile environment, competing against guys that, talk a little trash. It's part of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because we're notorious for switching gears just randomly here.
This is what happens when you don't have a schedule. We have a question that just pops into our head. We ask it. It doesn't matter what we talked about before. It doesn't matter what the theme is. We have no theme.
Yeah. So outside of football, because obviously football is a huge passion of yours and you've dedicated a lot of time to it and chased this dream all over this planet, basically. What's a hobby or passion that you have that kind of keeps you grounded, or what is something that you do that people would not expect from you?
I'm from Michigan, so anytime I can get to the ocean, or get to some, body of water and to the beach and kind of just hear the waves rushing and just, be in the presence of the water. That's my thing. I like to be at the beach, man. Anytime I can get down there to Florida, Texas, out the country, I enjoy what's something they wouldn't expect me. I like to see new cultures, new countries, new communities.
Okay.
I went to the Dominican Republic and I got a 4-wheeler to ride off the resort. I wanted to see real life. How are these people really living? How are they making ends meet? You see people riding dirt bikes with groceries in one hand and they're riding the bike with the other, and they're just making it happen. So I like to see how other people how their world is, what I'm saying, as a tourist, so kind of I would say definitely traveling is something I love to do.
Did you get to go visit the beach while you were kind of here for
I didn't get to go this time. I treated this season as like just laser focus, tunnel vision, going to sleep at night, just focus on what I need to do, and it paid off. I wanted to go to the beach, but it really wasn't a lot of time. The bye week that we had, I kind of just relaxed and rested, in the hotel, in the AC, and got ready for the next week, man. So
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go to beach in Texas, any beach worth a damn is South Padre. Corpus, it sucks. Galveston is not very good. So you got to go down to South Padre if you're going to a beach in Texas.
Yeah. So, I'm going to check it out next time I get down there. I think I've been there like one time when I was at Prairie View.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, right, the biggest problem is kind of the way the Gulf sits and the currents in there. They're picking up all that silt and stuff from the Mississippi River and just kind of dumping it all the way along the Texas coastline. And so BD is right. You've got to go about as far south as you possibly can to try and get away from some of that. The waves are nice, don't get me wrong. But it's just that milky brown water, man. It's just
the oil spill hasn't been the same, man.
Yeah. It's not the same. But okay, so you had an incredible season. You've got some great films. We've talked about kind of, what the hope is for the next season, or well, what's next for you. This being, kind of a relaunch / rebirth of a league that, happened in the 1960s. What was your take on the entire league? Like, what was your take on your experience here as a whole? Was it a good positive experience? If you do come back, are you looking forward to more of the same, or do you expect, the levels of competition to step up? Like, talk to us just about that whole experience with the Toros and with the Continental Football League as a whole.
Yeah, I loved it. The Toros, I mean, obviously we're the best team in the league, the best organization, the best front office, the best sponsors. Everybody involved with San Antonio Toros was lights out, no problems. The message to other teams in the league: y'all got to get together. Like, y'all got to get y'all stuff together in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
The Toros is going to reload. We're coming back, and I know we got the target on the back, but we're ready for it. People are training, we're preparing. We're taking care of our bodies in the off season. And, a lot of guys value this game and they hold it close to their heart, and they live like that, the way they live off the field, the way that they train, the way that they interact with people, how you do one thing as professionals, how you do everything. So a lot of these guys really live the professional way. And, being on a team like that where the expectations are high and it's easy to, meet them or reach them, that's what you want to be around at the end of the day. You want to be around high-level people, have high-level conversations, and you want expectations on you. You know what I'm saying? If there's no expectations, there's really no point to be there. So in terms of the league, it was unfortunate the other teams fell out and they couldn't compete money-wise or whatever the situation was. Hopefully next year, they have some time to regroup and reorganize and, plan better. Whatever it is, finances. Hopefully they have some time to, collect. And because I know the Tours are here to stay. The Continental League is here to stay. And this was a good, rebirth season. First time back, and it's safe to say San Antonio Toros are the champions. We had the best coaching staff, the best roster, and like I said, everything was high level. You know what I'm saying, across the league. Like there's nobody else that can compete from the front office to the players. So,
well, I mean, honestly, it seemed like the rest of the league was like, hey, you know what? This is the first year. We're kind of going to ease our way into it. And Toros were like, no, hell no. We're going to get, all this wealth of knowledge and NFL experience and just football royalty and a coaching staff, and then bring in, a ton of players with the knowledge, with, the ability. And we're just going to kick everyone's ass. That's basically what they did.
Like, yeah, we lined it up like, it's not every staff or every team that we went against. Like, they didn't have the staff that we did. They didn't have the legendary coaches that we had. They didn't have all of that, So it's really a blessing to be on a team with such high expertise, players, coaches, and everybody involved. So it's like, it's a one of one, man. This is like the best team. Like I said, best team I've been on. Look at it as semi-pro, pro, whatever you want to say. Jerry Glanville was one of the best NFL coaches at the end of the day.
No.
We got coached by him. We got trained. He gave us his knowledge. We were in meetings every day, in practice, getting, receiving, directions. Like, there's no other way to put it. You know what I'm saying? There's NFL guys competing on the field. No matter the league, it was quality football being played. And we put that on tape. We put it on tape in practice. We put it on tape on game day. And it's going to be hard for a lot of other teams and other leagues to say, hey, we got to come up. We got to do something.
No.
Because the tours are up and coming. The coaches are here to stay. You can't compete against guys like Jerry Glanville or Burt Hill. Stan winning his 100th game as a head coach. Like, it's going to be hard to compete against this team.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. This is going to be controversial, right? And I'm kind of known for controversial questions.
Let's do it.
You being a player on the Senate, how do you feel hearing comments like the Toros stacked the deck with a bunch of NFL and UFL players just to run the table, or some kind of implication like you guys did something wrong in order to just dominate and make everybody else look like crap? How does that make you feel as a player?
I mean, I don't really care. I mean, it's kind of like, it feels good. Hey, we all aren't NFL players. We're striving to get there. There's some on the team that have been in NFL camps or full season. Not everybody on the team, but there is a handful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the other teams that had a chance to recruit and get a team together, they could have did the same thing. I mean,
yep.
Somebody had to look at their recruiting department. Somebody dropped the ball. Somebody didn't make the calls. Somebody didn't want it bad enough. But the Toros, they took the time to bring in the right people. So, you got to do it right. If you're not going to do it right, you're going to lose, because somebody is going to do it right and they're going to win.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, the Toros built their team with winners to win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not their fault that not every other team, in the league took that same route. They just, again, kind of phoned it in. So everyone had the same opportunity to build their team. So
yep. And that's kind of the thing that I wanted to make sure that we highlighted in that, was that there are certain individuals and groups that are kind of complaining about how much talent the Toros had. Every team had the exact same opportunity to go out and get the exact same level of players as you guys. And for whatever reason, maybe they didn't have the relationships, maybe they didn't have, that chutzpah, as they call it, that charm, whatever, to bring that level in. And now all of a sudden they're trying to say it's you guys' fault for being too good. And I think that's probably the most idiotic thing I've ever heard anybody say in my entire life. And Len, I've said some dumb things, okay?
He has. I've heard him. I've absolutely heard him. So
being an at-home broadcaster like this, I've said some of the dumbest things you could possibly say. Like I'm kind of like John Madden without all the cool points. Okay. But when I heard that comment, I absolutely I spit my milk out like through my nose because it was so ridiculous. I just had me laughing. But these are kind of some of the things that you're going to run into as a professional. You're going to have people kind of questioning you and saying things and maybe trying to degrade you.
Yep.
And so I was very interested to get your take on it as a professional athlete. What were your thoughts on that? How does that make the brain of Myles react when they hear stuff like that?
I mean, I kind of ignore it. I know the work I put in at the end of the day. And, when you show up to that weight room by yourself, you go to the track by yourself, or, you go do hill sprints by yourself. And, and then when you jump back into the spotlight or the season starts, as I like to say, the spotlight is now the lights are on, and the work that you did in the dark, or, the work that you did on your own at home before you went to your new state or your new team, or, for me, I played in Brazil, my new country. So before the season started, I know what I did to prepare. So it's like all the noise I hear, and some people were saying like, "Oh, we're in the, we're all in the Continental Football League together." It's like you guys are saying that. It's like we're in the league together, but your team is not the same as ours. Like your staff and your level of players and your team is not who we are. So and then like our practices are not the same as yours. The way we eat is not the same as you. So it's just like whatever they say is kind of rah-rah. And at the end of the day, we're gonna line it up, we're gonna play, and we're gonna run our stuff. If you can stop us, stop us. If you can't, then try again. But until the end of the end of the game, we're gonna keep scoring, we're gonna keep playing defense, So that was our approach, that was a mentality. There was a lot of talk. And, I don't really listen to it because at the end of the day, I got to remind myself, like, I'm being coached by NFL coaches right now. It doesn't really matter what's being said outside noise. Like, I'm being coached by NFL coaches right now, or NFL players, Coach Coleman. So it's like I can sleep with that right now. At my point in my career, I can sleep with that. I'm happy where I'm at, and I know it's only going to get better. Keep trusting the process. And I'm gonna keep grinding. So that's all you can do right now.
So with lining up, playing defense, all that, after giving up 6 points in 4 weeks, how pissed were you guys that y'all let Tall City score 24 on you that last game?
Man, we were mad, like even at 6 points that we let up. So we were trying to go scoreless the whole year. And that was kind of like the standard that we set. That's why we were blowing teams out. And when we let up, 24 points, it was like, okay, we were the ones that shot ourselves in the foot. It's not like they just did something better than us. It's just like we messed up on a play or blew coverage or, came down too hard on the tackle. And, it wasn't something that they did spectacular. We couldn't stop. It was just like we tripped ourselves up. No. And I guess they lucked up into a touchdown, if you could say that. So yeah, it's not every day you just gonna score on a Toros. So
no. Okay.
You know what? I just figure you're like, you know what, dude? We've had 4 amazing games. We want to give these other guys a shot. Hey, let them look like they're doing something. Just give them a shot. Let them put some tape on there too. Give them a chance to score. So, I figured that's what you guys are doing. You were being gracious, members of the league and just kind of sharing the wealth a little bit.
Yeah, a little spotlight for them. That's
exactly. Right. Everybody needs a little bit of help. So
no, we don't play football that way here. Kidding. But let me ask you this, because we've talked about your career, we've talked about the different coaching experiences and just kind of all these different aspects of your football career to this point. Obviously, there were young men in the stands watching you, right? And then some young women also that maybe, looking to play some football as well. What advice would you give them at this point in your career to help them in their journey?
I would say if you have a dream, you have a goal, like no matter how young you are, like stay focused on it and throughout that time, there's going to be the universe is going to test you. There's going to be distractions. There's going to be things that are going to try to sway you off your goal and your path. I feel like as long as you believe in yourself and you know what you want and you know what it takes to get there, as long as you keep showing up and being consistent and, you know, keep putting yourself in positions to be seen, to be recognized, to, you know, to excel, put yourself around people that are successful and, you know, who are going to help you rise up, you know, just, you know, trust your coaches, trust your parents and, you know, your teachers and stuff like that. And, you know, ask questions if you don't know what's going on. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't know, always ask. It's better to be safe than sorry. So yeah, just do the right thing and, you know, it'll all work out for you as long as you keep showing up and putting your best foot forward.
Now there, pardon me. There was one other thing. We talked about it with a couple of different players, kind of before the season and up, you know, through the season up until like the last couple of weeks. But there was this uniting theme among all the players that I felt kind of bonded you. But I've noticed something different over the last, you know, couple of interviews that we've done and things like that. At first, I thought it was the competitiveness, but it seems to be that there's also this underlying message of a belief in a higher power, right? How important, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming your faith is pretty important to you.
Oh, yeah.
How important was it, though, for you to be on a team full of like-minded individuals that have that same focus, not only on the game, but also on their faith and you know, doing good work, being good stewards of, you know, your craft, and just being good citizens in general?
Yeah. Yeah, my faith is everything. You know, my faith in Christ Jesus is everything to me. You know, I've always been around the churches and, you know, friends and, you know, family, you know, always, you know, going to church on Sunday, you know, listen to some worship in the house or whatever it is. But when it came down to the team and, like, you know, for example, I'm bringing one player, Wesley. Wesley played linebacker. Wesley was with the Seahawks, and there's another NFL team that he was with. But Wesley was younger than me, and he's been in the league for a camp or whatever it was. And he's somebody that I bonded with. You know, we got really close, and we talked about our faith. And you know, like I said earlier, iron sharpens iron. So Wesley was one of those guys that, you know, we spoke about our faith, and, you know, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. You know, trust the work you've put in. And, you know, it'll take care of itself. You know, I remember it was like week 1, and, you know, I'm asking Wesley about after the season, you know, like, you know, what is it going to look like? What team? Yada, yada. He's like, man, focus on practice today. Focus on today. And then practice will be over. He's like, okay, we're putting football away for today. Like, sometime I got to disconnect and then regroup and refresh and come back. So, it was like the mental health on the team was healthy. You know, the approach was very healthy. And the guys, you know, when it was time to unwind and, you know, when we went to eat at some of the sponsors' restaurants and we could all just hang out as a team and just vibe and just talk and ask about at home life. And it doesn't always have to be football. So, and then when we do come back to football, it's refreshing because we talked about personal stuff and then we came back to the game. It wasn't all just football. Like, we talked about, you know, your life and my life and, you know, what do you like to do? You know what I'm saying? So it was good camaraderie and it was a real brotherhood. And it was amazing. You know, that's that type of team. That's what you want to be on. You want to be on a team like that.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent. Now, just a couple more questions, and we unfortunately we can't keep you on air forever. We'd love to, because I know I'm enjoying this interview. But going back to team dynamics, who would you say is kind of the most serious when it comes to this? Well, just kind of in general, who had like the most serious personality, and then opposite side, who's the biggest jokester? Like, who's the biggest, you know, person cutting up and having fun, and, you know, when it was appropriate. Hopefully they wouldn't cut up in, you know, meetings and stuff like that. But who are those two people?
Off the top of my head, I would definitely say Wesley. Like Wesley is like a guy that, he's serious when it's time to be serious, and then, when it's time to, be yourself and, kind of just be who you are, after practice, after meetings, and, you can just sit down and joke with them. Wesley is definitely, he's that guy. I definitely flowed towards him this season, as a leader, as an athlete, and, you want to surround yourself, like I said, with quality people that are doing the right thing. And if I were to recommend anybody, put my name behind anybody, it would definitely be Wesley. Wesley is that guy, so he deserved to be in the camp as well. Takes the game very serious. His recovery, his process leading up to practice, his warm-up routine. If you ever seen this guy warm up, he takes it very seriously, and then it shows up on the tape. It shows up on game day. So Wesley is somebody that I definitely, see myself. I'm like him, or, we're similar in terms of our approach to our mentality. Wesley, yeah, I'm going to say Wesley. I'm going to stick with one. I can't name two, but I'm going to say Wesley for sure. That's that guy.
Okay. See, and I was kind of thinking Cam would be in the discussion there somewhere.
Cam was going to be my pick for the Joker.
Offense, though. We're with the defense.
Yeah, but Cam is just that guy where, he apparently hasn't met a single stranger in his entire life. He knows everybody. He's kind of like the mayor of the Continental Football League, or at least, a dignitary or something, because he knows everybody. But he's also that guy that you can just tell there's a little bit of a mischievous streak there. Like he's cutting up and playing the practical jokes and putting shaving cream in people's shoes and stuff like that, which we need to get him back on the show and poke the bear a little bit, get him stirred up again. Because he says he doesn't talk trash first, but yeah, you can get him fired up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now, one last question.
Yep.
Right, the season is over. Are you still in contact with a lot of the guys? I'm assuming you're still in contact with Wesley. Are you in contact with any of the other guys? And are you guys keeping tabs on each other, checking in, and making sure you guys are doing your off-season work to be prepared for the season?
Yeah, I just actually talked to Wesley. I talked to Lacobe actually today. Lacobe, asked me how I'm doing. He asked me some things with Huddle, how I do my highlight tape, yada yada. I talked to Coach Glanville a couple of days ago. Coach Alex, me and Coach Alex been in touch. But yeah, a lot of those guys, I post like my workouts and my meals, they keep up with me on Instagram, man. I see him checking in, it's good to see, proof of life, you know what I'm saying? You see him on the phone, so it's not every day we get on the phone, but I talked to Obi as well. Obi is another guy, Super Bowl winner. I called Obi up. When I called him, I think he said he was on the way to the beach, after his workout or something. Yeah. So I've been in touch with a couple of those guys, and it's good to see that we're keeping up with each other still. Football is like a family thing. Once you play in a team with guys, it's kind of like the few that you grew with throughout the season. You keep up with them, so it's good to add some more football family.
Oh yeah,
very awesome.
And this really is a large community, no matter what level you're at, because there's so few. Hang on, I'm getting an alert on stupid TikTok blowing me up over here. Anyways, this is a community. Whether you're at the pinnacle of the NFL or you're at, and no, I don't say this to be disrespectful, but like if you're at one of the smaller arena league teams, it is still a family, right? And you guys are all connected in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And so it's good that you're continuing to nurture those relationships, because those relationships, as you said, iron sharpens iron. They're only going to make you better. And who knows that the person that you're playing with today isn't going to get you in contact with the right person to get you to the next step tomorrow.
You never know.
So extremely, extremely important. Man, I want to keep asking so many more questions, but we're only an hour show, and I don't want to keep you on here forever. Reedy, do you have anything else?
No, man, I'm good. That was, it was great. It was great talking to you, Myles, man. It's, definitely got to get to know you a little bit more. So it was very cool.
Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate you jumping on, man.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Always. Myles, why don't you tell everybody how they can stay in contact with you and they can follow your journey to whatever might be next for you, whether it's, losing my mind here, the Canadian Football League or UFL. Hopefully, you don't go to one of those horrible teams in the UFL like, Houston or, the Dallas, whatever. We've got beef with them because they're Texas teams. But how can people keep in contact with you and follow your journey?
Yeah, I post a lot on social media, football workouts, professional, workouts, food that you should eat as an athlete, and My Winning Lifestyle, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's My Winning Lifestyle. I kind of show like the inside of a professional athlete, what it's like to train, to eat, kind of my life, where I've been, Brazil, my different colleges I've attended. So yeah, kind of post my life on, football related, so check me out.
Very cool.
Excellent. Well, Myles, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your story with us. And we're definitely here to support you, and we will continue to follow you. Again, we hope that you go on to bigger and better things, but if not, we'll be waiting here, ready for you to come back to San Antonio and dominate next season. And we'll be the ones talking trash on the sidelines, just like always.
Absolutely.
Because just like you, we're dedicated to our craft, and we're pretty good at talking trash.
Hey,
so
it's great, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm putting this Texas Syndicate ball in the case. This the punt block ball, man. They can't get this back.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
So, hey, I appreciate y'all, man.
Well, when they were on the field, they couldn't get it back to get it into the end zone either. So it does, so poor Syndicate. Love those guys. But all right, Myles, we appreciate you, man. If you want, we're go ahead and disable your camera. If you want to bolt, cool. If not, we do need to wrap the show up. And then, we'll be hanging around for a couple of minutes afterwards.
Appreciate it, boss, man. Thank y'all for having me on.
Thank you, definitely, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Talk soon, man. Peace.
All right, brother. Take care. So BD, that was Myles McHaney of the San Antonio Toros and of our not least favorite team. We have other least favorite teams, but of the Memphis Showboats. And I'm so glad again that he joined us.
Great guy. It was cool just hearing him, just talk about the season, talk about kind of his, like I said, his journey, his life. Very, very cool. So, if you missed any of it, definitely go back and check it out, man. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah. I've got to say, before we do our shout outs and everything, first and foremost, big shout out to the Toros and to the Continental Football League. First of all, for bringing football back to San Antonio, because obviously that was extremely important, for us to have something to do, to, continue to connect. But more importantly, to give these young men an opportunity to try and continue their careers, right? To surround them with legendary coaches like Stan Bedwell and Glanville and all the other cats that were out there. I mean, there's so many, it would be hard for me to name. For guys like Ace being involved and, just having an incredible media crew to be able to capture some of this footage for these guys so, they can try and continue to pursue that dream. Just everything that the Continental Football League, even with the, some of the drama that was involved and everything else, but everything that the Continental Football League was able to achieve basically, from nothing. Right. So I have high hopes and expectations for this next season. If that doesn't pan out, that's going to stink, but hey, at least they accomplished the one goal, which was to get footage, give guys an opportunity. And I'm going to be very interested to keep track of all these guys, not just with the San Antonio Toros, but with all of the teams, the Tall City Black Gold, the Austin Syndicate, the Cincinnati Dukes, and just see what opportunities present themselves because of this one experience that they have.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, again, we got to do our shout outs. So first and foremost, shout out to Texas Sports Productions for all the help that they provided this season and all this, the help that they're going to provide in, the upcoming high school football season. Those guys are so in tune with everything that's going on. It is an absolute blessing to have them on our side. So guys, thank you very much for all your support this season. To everybody with the Continental Football League and specifically with the Toros, the staff and everything, guys, thank you so much for supporting us and allowing us to be a part of this and be on the sidelines and talk to the players and do all the things that, we've been wanting to do kind of for a while. So thank you guys for that. Shout out to Alternative Football Network for continuing to support us and share our stuff. Shout out also to the X-Fan Show for, being our counterparts in the league in a different area, but still continuing to support. And of course, supporting us. And most importantly, guys, well, shout out to my lovely, soon to be bride for letting me chase this football dream and not making too much fun of me for it. But most importantly, to you fans, right? We're episode 160 something, I think.
You keep taking it off so we're not keeping running track. So I got to go back and keep counting. So,
well, somebody has to count, right?
Somebody has to.
Of course, much love to Miss Jen for everything. She's just an absolute gem. But yeah, we're one something. We're in triple digits, very deeply into triple digits.
I think we're probably 165-ish.
Yeah, something like that. And it's not ending anytime soon. But definitely tune in next week. We're going to be going over kind of the other leagues that we didn't really have so much of a chance to cover. I know the Gunslingers had an incredible game this last weekend, and it was such a heartbreak to see them lose in the fashion that they did because they were fighting tooth and nail. And, we're in the lead and, just some bad plays kind of went against them, and they wound up losing that game by like a point, right? And it was really heartbreaking because that game against Orlando specifically was for playoff implications. If San Antonio won, they would have still had a chance to get into the playoffs. Now that they lost this game, they're out. And so that's just heartbreaking. That's just a rough season, right? And especially with all the turnover and quarterback issues and just whatever. We'll break it all down next show. But we have college to talk about. We have NFL to talk about. We definitely need to do a little bit of a recap on the UFL because we didn't really talk about it too much here. And just everything that's going on in football, right? There's never been a better time to be an American in America if you're a football lover, because there literally is football all year round. There's never not football to talk about. So great time to be alive, BD.
Very much. Very, very much.
All right. That being the case, we're getting ready to sign off the show. Do you have anything?
Man,
you have a second for anybody?
I don't know.
I have one.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you want to do yours? I'll do mine afterwards.
I'll do mine. And it's not towards a specific person. It's towards a specific time frame. Now that the Continental Football League has ended and we're kind of in this lull in between when preseason is, camp is ramping up and preseason's getting ready to kick off in about a month or so. This dead space that we're in, I'd like to say suck it to this dead space where we don't have any football, because that's just a horrible time to be. So,
it's going to be, mine's going to be a trifold suck it. So, suck it Philly, suck it New York, suck it Washington.
It's a trifecta right there. You can't get any better. Yep. Guys, we'll catch you next week. Same time, same bat channel. Take care. We'll see you guys soon.